Hi writers! So in today's Let's Write video, we are going to talk about starting your novel, and we are actually starting at the very beginning of your novel. So we are looking actually at the first lines of your novel today. All right. So a couple of things that successful or effective first lines do: they introduce the main character or protagonist's personality and world, and they convey something of the story's mood, tone, genre. Okay. So I think of it like if you're watching a movie, a lot of times you can tell by even the music of the opening scene what's going to what kind of story it is, if it's comedic or if it's thriller like or if it's straight out horror or whatever. So um, if you're having trouble with exactly how to get started, this is a method that may help you feel more focused. All right, so here are the steps, and we are going to apply the steps to several different stories. So the first step is to read the premise. Okay, and when I say read the premise, it means the premise that I'm going to give you, or think about, or just think about your own story. Okay, so just consider your own story. Then I want you to see some images and write down those images, just whatever you see. And again, we're going to go through this in just a minute, so you'll see more of what I'm talking about. Imagine that I'm the character, or imagine that you're the character. And this is a very short step, but still it's important to see yourself as the character. And then see what I'm doing and wearing as the main character protagonist. And then see, or really, you're going to feel whether first or third person is more natural to you for in terms of writing about this character. And then we're going to see more story images and some opening images, maybe even some problems for your protagonist to start out with. And I talked in a previous video about the benefits of starting your character off with a problem, when you start your story starting with a problem. And it's not the only way to start your novel, of course, or start your story, of course, but I find it to be effective. And then the very last thing is you write down what you see, and a lot of times it can be a great beginning for you. So let's put this stuff in action. So I'm going to copy and paste these steps. And our first story premise is here, and I'm going to start us off on a fresh sheet of paper here. So our first story is a 16-year-old girl is returning home from drug rehab to her wealthy and dysfunctional family. All right, so each of the stories I've come up with are just something that I've made up. And so, yeah. All right, so read the premise or just think about your own story. So in this case, we're just going to read the premise. Okay, we're going to read this premise here. So 16-year-old girl's returning home from drug rehab to her wealthy and dysfunctional family. So I've read it, check, and now I'm going to see some images in my head and then write those images down. So, and it can be anything that you see right now. So 16-year-old girl returning. So an image that I see is a blonde, blonde-haired girl. And actually, I see a dirty blonde-haired girl. And when I see the blonde hair, I see kind of like Taylor Swift, bob and bang haircut, where it's really a blunt cut. It's blunt but jagged at the same time. I don't know, maybe that's too opposing, but that's what I see, blunt and jagged at the same time. Looks like she may have cut it herself, but it's working for her. So I see that. I see, let's see, the girl, I see her flicking out a cigarette for some reason, or flicking ash out of a cigarette. I see, let's see, um, nails bitten to the core, not core, but what is it? Bitten to nubs, whatever. Um, and I see for some reason black and white horizontal striped tights and black booties for shoes. That's what I see. And I see her um, sitting on a chair, one arm wrapped around herself, the other holding her cigarette. And I'm trying to see what else I see. Okay, so this is what I see of the 16-year-old girl. What else I see? I see dim lighting. I see, when I see the wealthy and dysfunctional family, I see a well-dressed mom. Her mom is well-dressed. And actually, I see the woman from, what was that show? Gilmore Girls, the mom from Gilmore Girls. Looks like Gilmore, the grandmother, I meant to say. Gilmore Girls grandmother. So kind of a grand looking, slightly older woman, maybe, but very well preserved, all that good stuff. And yeah, so those are images that I see right now. And now, imagining that I'm the character, well, okay, I'm going to just kind of pretend like now I'm wearing the tights and um, I'm this chick. So I'm trying to see like kind of what my mindset is. And what I see and feel is I just feel fear because I'm only 16 and I feel afraid, but what else at the same time? Do I just feel fear? What else do I feel? And this is what you have to do. You have to kind of like really like put yourself in the mindset of the character. And actually, now that I'm imagining I'm her, I also see um, a plain white t-shirt. So it's funny, like as you begin to imagine, you start to imagine, you start to feel more. Um, and I'm trying to think what I feel right now beyond fear, trepidation if I'm about to go home. Um, I feel kind of numb. Like the rehab didn't really work. Like I'm not using anymore necessarily, but I don't feel rehabilitated, so to speak. And I also feel like I cover up a lot of fear and insecurity with silence. Oh, I cover fear and insecurity and shyness even with silence and biting humor. That's what I see. So this feels to me, or it's feeling to me more and more like well, not shockingly, my favorite kind of story, a dramedy, combination of drama and comedy. So yeah. So what am I doing and wearing? Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste some of this from here since these are some images that I saw. And I'm trying to think if now if first or third person feels more natural. And let's see. I think third person right now feels more natural to me right now. So I'm going to go with third person for my opening lines. And of course, if it feels different later, just change it later. But the point is to just get something down on the page right now. So Yep. And let's see, what am I doing though? Because I have a description, and I already said that she is um, sitting on a chair. And so let's see, let's get that here for what she's doing. And she's holding her cigarette. And you know what? She's doing all this she's sitting in group. It's the day she's about to be released. And the group is discussing her leaving, or the counselor is trying to get her to talk about her leaving. Okay. Next, I'm trying to think if I see more story images or some opening images. And that's the opening image that I see. I see where, this is what I see happening for the opening image. And you know what else I see? I see her, she glances out the window. And I see beautiful grounds, beautifully manicured grounds. And, obviously the place is expensive. So, yeah, that's what I see. And now, of course, write down what I see. And so now this is where I'd actually try to write down first lines. Oh, one thing, possible problems. And again, this is, it doesn't have to be a big problem. It's not your catalyst event. It's not what's necessarily going to propel the story into full effect. But just a really minor, any kind of problem that you can start with. And so possible problem, maybe, let's see, the counselors told her to put out her cigarette, something like that. So let's see what I can come up with as a, what's happening. And this is where I'm going to write down the actual first line here. All right. And again, it's probably something I'll go back and change, but it's just to get something down on paper at this point, now that we have these images happening. So I'm going to say, let's see, Camille. No, I don't want to start with dialogue. I'm going to start with, I know Bob's going to ask me 2 more times to put out my cigarette before I actually have to do it. But for some reason, I'm in the mood to test him. So I'm going to make him ask 3 times. So yeah, so here's a couple of first lines, and then when you get stuck, my favorite question is, and then what happens? So we can proceed from there. So okay, so that this video is not too long, I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to go through this whole process again with a different story. So stay tuned, and I'll see you soon in a minute.